Hi friends, it's Julia. I'm here to share a layout that I created with my January 2020 Counterfeit Kit Challenge kit. This is also my December 2019 stash kit. Now, I had started in December. I put this kit together to follow along with Christy's Beautiful Life. I actually put the kit together in November with the intentions of doing the 30 days of sketches that Christy's Beautiful Life was doing. I was just going to do it a month behind her for December instead of November. But for whatever reason, I didn't get it done, and so I have carried over. And so here you saw I had tons of scraps and some additional papers, and I just pulled everything together to create a bunch of border strips. I've made several layouts already where I have used border strips, and so I ran out. So I needed more. This layout is one that has border strips all along the back side. I used tons of different paper scraps and pieces. Yeah. Excuse me. I think I even used some washi tape in here, and I was going to use some ribbon and fiber bits, but I never did. So I kind of cut out the whole process of cutting those border strips down, and I'm going to cut out part of the process of gluing all of these down because there's a lot to go down. And I will do it in 3 sections along the back, at the top, the bottom, and in the middle, so that they don't cover the entire back of the background paper. Now, if you go over to Christy's Beautiful Life and you go to her playlist called 30 Days of Sketches, if you will look at day 26, you will see the sketch that I utilized to create this layout. I may not be following along exactly how she created hers, and that's okay. Whenever you use a sketch, you kind of leave it open to interpretation and using it how you see fit to use it, because really and truly, using a sketch is a jumping off point. And you can see, because I'm going to have my photos there in the center, I don't necessarily need all of the paper right there in the middle to go all the way across. Some of it will, but not all of it. And that's okay with me because it's going to be hidden by the photos in the middle. I love being able to do layouts like this one. It is one of my favorite ways to use up border strips. And if you don't have extra border strips, you can create border strips in your stash. And you can see I put both of those. That is from the introduction sheet of the kit from Felicity Jane. It had the 4 different colors of border strips on there. And so I cut the middle 2 out because I want to be able to use those 2 somewhere else on the layout. So do you guys ever make layouts like this? Yeah, this is, like I said, my favorite way to use up border strips. Here I'm taking actually a bit that I cut off from a spiral bound scrapbook album that I had. I used some of the pages in the album, but not all of them. And so I needed to leave some of the pages out that I didn't use because it was kind of bulky, and so I just pulled them out. No great loss, but I kept them in my stash, right? Because you might need that. You might use that at some point, and I finally did. And that album was an old, I want to say, K & Company from probably 20 years ago. That's how long I've kept these pieces, but I just could not get rid of them because I thought somehow or another I'm going to be able to use those at some point in my lifetime. So I'm glad that I finally have used them. I think I may have used them all up with doing these layouts. I'd have to go back through my stash and look, and I'm not going to get up and go do that right now. So anyway, yeah, I did take my border punch and I punched out a few pieces, a few border strips to go across there as well. That is one of my favorite border strips there, and it's just that scalloped edge, the small scalloped edge. My other favorite one is one from not close to my heart, from Stampin' Up, and it actually has where the scallop pieces are, there's a little cutout in there. Excuse me. I'm still working on getting over this cold, guys. The cough's just going to linger, but you know, that's how it goes after you have a cold. Most providers will tell you it can take up to 6 weeks to get rid of the cold completely. Or so I tell my patients, because I know it to be a fact. That cough just drags on and on and on after you've had a cold. Anywho, so I'm getting close to getting done with the background. And for me, that can sometimes be the most time-intensive part of creating a layout like this. And I thought I'd cut more of it out than what I did. But you can see I have gone through and I have added more border strips to the background, added some washi tape in. And here I am adding some foam adhesive to the back of the photos. I actually popped those up on foam dots. I put some white cardstock behind them. And again, I used up scraps of white cardstock. So if you look closely, you will see where some of that white cardstock crisscrosses behind the photos. And I'm okay with that. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I love to be able to get my supplies used. And, you know, at some point when my kids are looking at these layouts, they're not going to care about that. They're going to be looking at the photos going, oh, yeah, I remember that time. You know, and a lot of times I will put bits and pieces of a story there to help cue them in on the events that were happening. Here I have a bit of that sequin border left, and I just tacked it down right there with some wet glue. And I gave it time to dry because I kept worrying about bumping it. Here I'm going to use that gold alphabet to create a part of my title. And my title is going to be Time Together. But when I started to put it down, I'm thinking, where am I going to put this as a 2-word title that would fit? Because I want it to be along that bottom cluster of borders. Yeah, so we'll see. Here I'm just tagging them down to the ruler that I have, and then I'll go through and put liquid adhesive on them in a few minutes once I decide where I'm going to put them. Oh, so let me tell you, if you go over to Christy's Beautiful Life to her playlist, 30 Days of Sketches, I don't know if I told you, this would be layout number 26 or sketch number 26 or day number 26. She has done this. This was her 4th round in November of 2019. And so if you are interested in doing multiple rounds of something like this, you can find them over at her YouTube channel on her playlist, 30 Days of Sketches. And so you can see I'm putting that title on the photo a little bit higher, and I realize it's not going to work. It's too big to go up there. It kind of pulls the balance off. Even though I know the balance is a little bit off right now, it works out because I know I'm going to use some bigger embellishments down in that one corner. So I think it works out okay. So I pulled out this black tile alphabet, and I'm using that there to put the word time. So it's time together. Yeah, and that's just my husband and I. It was one of those days during Christmas holidays when he and the kids were off and I was still having to work. So that's where I plan to put one of those large Christmas trees. That is, I think it's a Recollections brand, but it's glittered. Really a fun embellishment. And I'm going to use that little deer that is from the same collection pack. And I'm just going to use some foam adhesive to pop it up a little bit. And it has actually stuck down to the glitter portion of that die cut fairly well. I've not had any major issues with it popping up. So I'm loving that I'm able to use up more of those bigger things like that from my stash. Here I'm going to fussy cut this out, and it says, "We go together like Christmas and a sweater." Now that is something that I actually stamped out to use in my kit somehow and just haven't to this point. And so fussy cutting it here, I'm glad that I will finally be able to use it. I put a die cut up at the top, and I'm looking at how I have it, and I'm seeing that I'm going to cover most of it up. So I ended up cutting it in half. And so I put that embellishment piece there in the middle of it. So I'm looking through, and because I'm going to put a cork Christmas tree on here, I'm adding a few additional cork pieces. When I first started pulling the items for this layout, I knew I was going to use a little cork Christmas tree. I kind of pulled it to the side and knew that I was going to use that. So it's been over to the side ready to use. Excuse me. And so now I'm just thinking about if I want to add anything else majorly, you know, or if I'm going to go straight on to my finishing touches here. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use up some of these faceted gems from, I want to say, from Paper Studio. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys sticking around and watching my video today. And if you are interested in this video and you've enjoyed what you've seen today, I would love it if you would flip me a thumbs up. That allows my videos to get more circulated a little bit more out there in YouTube land, and it gets some other people who are interested in looking at these kind of videos over to my channel to see that I create with a lot of stash product that's been in my stash for a while. I love to create layouts using stash. So if you haven't already subscribed, I would also love for you to subscribe and just hit that notification bell if you want to be notified when I post a new video. Anyway, guys, like I said, I appreciate you being here and watching my videos, and I will see you guys on the next video. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.